caught me. Oh, I didn't even put my lights on. Good morning, everybody. Happy Hump Day. It's Hump Day. Happy Hump Day. Happy Hump Day. I'm going to be very careful from now on. Well, for today, anyways, I'm going to be very careful today. Good morning, Pork Chop. Thank you for joining me. You're first. Never look back. Hello, Bill Goodwin. Hi, guys. I'm going to be very careful, you guys. I have to be very careful. Like, literally. I got coffee and I'm wearing white. Okay. So I got to be very careful today. Some of you might have thought I meant be careful, as in the powers that be might shut us down. Well, this is just another speed bump in the thing called life. All right, y'all. So, Senator Ted Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, he and his constituents went to a Senate hearing, and this was about banned books. You know, the left, right? They're like calling us those evil people from World War II because we want to ban books. Yeah. Well, these said books are very explicit, very colorful in nature, graphic, very bad for children to see. Now, he's reading these excerpts, I guess, from the book. There's a book called Not All Boys Aren't Blue, or whatever, the Genderqueer. Now, I have Genderqueer. I bought it because I wanted to see for myself if the media or, conservatives were pushing me propaganda. What I saw was not propaganda. In fact, it was very graphic in nature and a very disturbing book for me as a grown woman to read. But then they letting kids read this stuff. I'm over here going, no, 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 no. No bueno. How is everybody this morning? Pixie Knickers. Good golly, Miss Molly. I love that name. Pixie. Hi. Good morning to you. Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, boop, there we go. Rumble.com/user/just Jen Reacts on Rumble. Yes, I would love to stream on Rumble. I should probably do that. Shit, I haven't done that in a while. All of my videos from YouTube upload to my Rumble automatically. So it's such a pain. You have to grab stream keys and do all this, that, and the other. And it's very it's not technically like hard or difficult, but when I stream on YouTube, I can see your comments. On Rumble, if I use StreamYards, it's a custom stream, whatever configuration, you can't see your comments unless I'm watching simultaneously, and I like to interact with you guys. I think it's important. Not only can we build a rapport, right? You can get to know who I am as a person, and you feel like a human because you are one. Not just screen names here. We don't just screen names here. Well, they are reading these books. Unfortunately, most school districts are ran by a thing called a teachers union. And in these teachers unions, they are funded. Now, in Wisconsin, I was just talking to my gay best friend, and Rocky was telling me today that the school district gets from the federal government 11,000 per students who are registered in the school district. And I'm going, well, if they keep pushing this stuff in schools, why aren't we just taking our children out of schools and bankrupting them? That's where we have to hit them, I think, the most. If they're going to continue to push smut onto our children and all sorts of anti-American rhetoric, well, why can't we just remove them from the schools? Because the government and the schools and the teachers unions, they can't get funding if there's no students. So I think we have to really reevaluate our choices and do something profound. Do something that's actually going to get something done. I don't see them letting up. Okay. They are staunchly for pushing smut onto our kids. Before I get into the content of today's video, you guys, I do have some things that I emailed myself, right? And I'm going to pull that up. Let me see if I can move this on over here. Yeah, over yonder, so I can share the screen with you guys. They have a bunch of websites out there. If you were to Google what are the effects of showing children explicit content, and the studies that were done are not pretty. So what I will do is I will pull up every one that I emailed myself, and then I will link those down in the comments once this video is done. Okay, so you guys can read these articles and these studies for yourself. It's not good. And if they would only go by this, they would understand how terrible what I have everything here actually. It's what is the 7 ways adult content can damage a child's mind. And if only they would just look at this, maybe, just maybe, they couldn't dispute that the studies and the science don't lie. I thought they were all about trust the science. What happened to that? What happened to trusting the science? I guess when it's only benefiting them and what they believe in, I guess, yes. All right. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to say good morning and thank you for joining me. I do have the video with Senator Kennedy. And again, you bleep this out when there's an adult reading for other adults, but you don't bleep it out for our children. You think it's not okay for adults to hear and read, but it's perfectly fine for our children to read. And if you, a parent, so often is the case where these parents are going to these school board meetings and reading excerpts from the books that are readily available in the school's library, their mic gets cut. What, you don't want to hear what our children are reading? Then why are you allowing this in the schools? Again, the teachers' unions are filled with activists, not educators, and they are paid handsomely to push propaganda. And if you guys figured it out yet, there is a couple of these major, huge corporations that own the world: BlackRock, Vanguard, and Stone Street. So I think I think it's Stone Street. I could be wrong on that third one. But there's 3 major players that push this WEF propaganda. And they are all about, this is why the DEI started, the diverse inclusivity and equity stuff. This is why that started. These companies have no control over going woke because these big corporations like Vanguard and BlackRock, they buy up a bunch of stock from these companies and become major shareholders, which means what? They can come in and dictate, and they can come in and say, this is how you're going to run things. They have a say-so in how these companies run. So if you're seeing these companies that are going woke, that is why people need to wake up and see that we are up against these mighty elitists, and our politicians that are pushing this, they're puppets for them. You guys, it's insane. The toothpaste that you buy, the toilet paper that you buy, every time you buy Tide detergent or Dove soap, you are funding them because they own stock in everything. I'm working with a company right now to be a paid sponsor for them. They came to me to be a paid sponsor. I was going to sign up all on board, but then I was like, wait a second, I'm not going to tell people about these products until I use them myself, and it eliminates the woke, the companies that push the woke stuff. Okay, it eliminates them. I mean, any product you can think of, including meats, right? But I said I would not do it until I myself test it, because I'm not going to put my name on something that I wouldn't use myself, especially if I'm promoting it on my channel. I'm very like, I have to, I can't sell somebody and just, bullshit my way and be like, hey, this is my paid sponsor, but that I don't use. No. What I'm about to like sign up with, if I like their products, I will then put my name on it if I use it and I like it. But I'm not going to do that until I myself do that, right? Because I think so many people do that on YouTube. They're like, this is the message from our paid sponsor. With this one, you have to be a member, an active member, in order to promote them and for them to be a paid sponsor. You yourself have to. So I'm like right here, right? I'm on that fence, but until those products get here, I can't do it. But I'm hoping, because look, we're paying for mostly water anyways with laundry detergent. And have you opened a bag of chips lately, a $7 bag of Lay's, and more than half of it now is air that you're paying for? You're paying for air, literally. So yeah, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try and see. And if we can eliminate and buy all American, you bet your ass I'm gonna do it, because I support businesses that are all about being made in America, and all their products are made in America. All of their factories are here in America, and they don't pay for advertising and marketing and all this crap, right? And they have over 3 million clients. So let's see, maybe, I don't know. All right, enough about that. I want to show you guys this. This is a study that if you go to your school board, I will link it down in the comments. Actually, I'll link it right here. Let me see if I can copy this for you guys. All right, let me copy it and I'll paste it right here. Paste. Boom. All you have to do is copy this and paste it. Okay, here you can copy this and you could look yourself. And if you yourself want to go to a school board meeting, you could cite this, okay? And they won't ban you for or cut your mic, because there's no graphic content in this whatsoever. All right, let's show you this real quickly. 7 ways adult content can damage a child. This is important, you guys. Protect your children online. That is number 1, especially from influencers. You know who I'm talking about. We should be absolutely watching what our children are doing online, okay? At all times. Don't for 1 second think that you could go cut the grass or something like that and leave your kid on a computer or a tablet or a phone because they're doing something shady. Always. All right. Protect your children online. For many parents, a child's easy access to online adult material and sexual content causes concern and fear, which is a valid fear, okay? So, here's what impact can adult have on young children? Adult content have on young children. All right. There are a variety of ways that adult content can impact young children negatively if they're exposed to it. Below are some of the more common. And remember, you guys, there's been studies on this. All right. Promiscuity, of course. It has been observed that young people who are exposed to content like this at a very young age are highly likely to engage in activities earlier in age. So it's like early onset promiscuity, right? Adult content depicts sexual activity in many different ways: casual, consequence free, violent, etc. There are many, and many are not socially normal or accepted, and potentially not legal. Someone who views this type of content may often seek out what they see, listen, or observe. They covet, basically. Okay, the next thing, addiction. Of course, it has been observed that these young people who are exposed to this type of material at a very young age are highly likely to develop intimacy disorders and or addiction. Aggression. Wow, this is all we need. This is all we need is a bunch of boys or girls being very aggressive when it comes to something like this. Screen time has skyrocketed in 2020, 2021, influenced by big time by words that we're not allowed to say. Lockdowns and new behaviors unfortunately increase screen time, and time online means an increase in the possibility and probability of a young person viewing aggressive content. This exposure may cause a viewer to display varied kinds of aggression towards future partners. Adult content and related content will often portray unrealistic image of both genders in a blank, explicit way. Generally, one gender acts as a subordinate in the other to the other gender. Mostly, it's men who are shown as the aggressive and emotionless people, and women are portrayed as weak, naive, and submissive. Objectification, media, of course. Entertainment and other adult content often objectifies women. All right, let's go on to it. Encourages violence. Adult content with violence, example given would be, explicit imagery, highly distort the way young children see the world. Some studies suggest that access to violent content at a young age could lead to violent behavior, and this could include bullying, assaulting, fighting another child, or acting out against somebody in a sexual, harmful, physically harmful way later in life. Internet addiction, intimacy disorders. Studies show that approximately 2.5% of the United States population is suffering from an intimacy disorder. Exposure to adult content basically can trigger trauma and may lead to sex addiction and other intimacy problems. And it goes on to how you can help your child, which I think is very good because you want to go in there with a level head. Don't discipline your kids when you are angry. I think that right there, this website, I linked it in the comments earlier. I will link it in the description of my video as soon as we're done here. After we're all done streaming, I will put this in there for you guys because as a guide, because what can we do as parents? I think we need to rip our kids out of the local school districts because if they're not going to quit pushing, like in Ohio, we voted on parental rights and education. They keep pushing it again and again. We voted it overwhelmingly in favor of parental rights and education. They keep pushing it. Are you sure? Are you sure? A new section comes up, a new levy comes up, a new issue comes up, and they keep pushing this. The latest one will be in November that we have to vote on again. It's like, how many times why are you vehemently pushing this on our kids when we already said no the first time? Apparently, they have been exposed to this because they're not taking no for an answer. Okay. It's very rapey, if you ask me. I mean, come on now. All right. So I got a video here from Senator Ted Kennedy. They did a Senate Judiciary hearing on banned books. Okay. And I'm over here going, and what I find so remarkably disturbing about all of this, y'all, is how they compare us parents, conservatives, who say we don't want our children to see these types of explicit imagery in schools, not only because it's wrong, but because we know the studies were done when children are exposed to content like this, it leads to a bunch of problems. And we need kids to be civilized human beings for when they grow up and they enter society. Okay. We don't need a bunch of children running rampant and being over sexualized. We don't want a bunch of cuties running around there. Basically, we don't need a bunch more teen moms running around. Okay. So they had a hearing, and the left says we are like, what was that word? Can I even say it here? Nazis. They call us Nazis. They said we're trying to ban books. The books are still there online for plenty of adults to read. But you're marketing these books for children and you're putting them in our schools, which is why we have a problem with it. We don't say ban the books together. We say no for kids. Okay. But they don't say the same for Penthouse, Hustler magazine. That is 21 and older. You have to be, I think it's 21 to purchase that. But you put a 21 and older stamp on that, but you don't put it on stuff like this. I have the video. And I feel like this. Well, let's watch it and let's see how they feel. Okay, here it is. It's 18, almost 19 minutes long, you guys.
You got kids, you police your kids. Otherwise, just shut up and trust the library system, the school system. Let them decide for your community. I completely, totally reject that. I don't have any kids, should I shut up? I pay taxes. When you have a public library and you have a board, somebody decides what books to go in or what not to go in. Lend your voice to the cause. It's okay to speak out for your community.
Yep.
Cameron, you have an advocacy group in Texas, right?
What's up, Rocky?
That is correct.
And you have every right to do that. You can advocate for your point of view, and somebody in Texas has to decide who wins. But never shut up. Never be quiet. My point is, the theory of this case is parents have a very limited role in life. Apparently, taxpayers have a very limited role in this area. You're paying money to run these libraries. I mean, you're getting money from taxpayers. They should speak up. Ms. Knox, you said, is it unconstitutional for a parent to go to a school board or a public library and complain?
Facts.
Thank you for giving me the chance to respond. Actually, almost all libraries have in their policies something called a request for reconsideration that allows parents or interested community members to object or say what they would like to have changed in a library collection.
Okay, you heard that, you guys. So as parents, as community members, as taxpayers, we can make sure that these books are no longer available to our children, but they find loopholes to keep pushing it. Okay, so no matter what you say, well, we want them there. Oh, well, we don't see the harm in it. We're ignoring all of the studies, never mind the fact all of the children who have already been subjected to abuse. We don't care. We want them to deal with it and process their abuse. No, you're re-victimizing them and you're re-traumatizing them over and over and over again by pushing this type of material. That's how I feel. And watch out for the college professors because they're in on this too.
I think what's important to remember is that this is a collective decision. It's not just one person who gets to say what is in a library collection.
I'm not arguing with you. Somebody has to decide. But the point is the individual here, the individual taxpayer, the individual parent. There's an effort in this country to shut you up. Ms. Neely, are you going to shut up?
We will absolutely not shut up. I am here on behalf of more than 10,000 members of Parents Defending Education who want to have a voice in their children's education. Yet they, every time they speak up, are mocked, are shamed, are intimidated and silenced and bullied by elected officials and community members who do not want them to speak up, who are told that they are book burners, who are ashamed of that. And you know what? We will not stop because after COVID, we had a window into what our children were learning or were not learning, and we were disappointed by that. So parents have not stopped, and they will not stop advocating for their children because the gatekeepers, be it the teachers unions or anyone else, has shown that they do not have our children's best interest at heart. They have their money and their power structure at heart at the end of the day.
What did I get done telling y'all? What did I just get done telling y'all? The teachers unions are funded by the federal government, which in turn is funded by the WEF, which is in turn, they are BlackRock, Vanguard, and Stone Street, I believe. Stone Street Capital, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that third one. But I do know BlackRock and Vanguard are two of the major players that push this ideologies, and they don't care who they push it to. The more the merrier. Indoctrinate, indoctrinate, indoctrinate. Push the woke. Push it, push it, push it. She said it best. We're not going to stop. You hear that? We parents are never going to stop. We don't care if you want to discuss your ideologies with other adults. We don't care. We don't care if you want to taste the rainbow. We don't care. Leave kids alone. That's it. Once you do that, you will go back to our everyday lives again. You won't see us. You won't hear from us. I can promise you that. But the very second that you think that we're going to go away and that we're just going to roll over and show our bellies and be like, go ahead and indoctrinate our kids and show them this explicit content. We're going to be just fine with it. You're sadly mistaken. That will be a cold day in hell before that ever happens. Because I know as a parent myself, I would rather fall on a sword for my kid than allow this shit to go on another day. Back to Nicole. She's the president of Parents Defending Education.
Mr. Eaton, is it your testimony there's an organized effort in this country to push ideas, books, literature through the public school system and libraries that has a very strong political agenda behind it? Is that what you're telling us?
I think it's pretty clear that is what is going on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and if you don't see that, you're blind. You know, in Florida, Ron DeSantis did something you may not like, Mr. Chairman. In Illinois, you do it a different way. But Governor DeSantis decided he would step in and stop what he thought was abusive from his point of view. My point about this hearing is there's no roll up here for any of us. Illinois, you do it the way you want. Florida, you do it the way you want. Each school library, you'll decide. But the day that a parent, a concerned citizen, can't come forward and say, I object, without being humiliated, is a bad day for America. And there's nothing in the Constitution preventing everybody in this country from having a say to express yourself, to try to mold the community in a way that you think is better. And some of the things being pushed through this agenda are just, quite frankly, offensive.
I actually agree with Ranking Member Graham that I don't see much Congress can do. We will make no laws addressing this. But I do think it's important that we hold a committee like this to talk to these larger issues.
Why won't Congress? Did that not disturb anybody else? We as Congress will not make any laws against this. Why? Why not? Oh, because you want us teachers who show up at school board meetings and take this into our own hands to be raided by the FBI and berated by the DOJ. And you want to label us as criminals and vigilantes for doing so. It goes to show how in on it these people are. It sickens me. Is anybody else disturbed by what he just said? Because that really set up one of the biggest red flags I think I've ever seen a politician say. And boy, oh boy, there are a lot of those. But this one stuck out like a sore thumb.
We have a country right now that is based in the ideals of a commitment to one another. We weren't founded on sameness, same religion, same ethnicity. We were founded on big principles of democratic ideals. And in a diverse democracy, it is so necessary.
That's right.
That we know each other, that we see each other, that we understand each other. That's what makes us stronger. And in many ways, our schools become areas, especially the ideals of public schools, where diverse people come together for an education. I am suspect of these books being taken out of libraries and schools because I started seeing books that had been there not just for years, but...
Hold on a second. Hold on, mister. Hold on a second here. Really? Really? So school is a diverse place to live, but your party was against busing the black kids to the suburbs, and you're against school choice. So don't you dare pull that diversity card on me, mister. You are just flapping your gums. You ain't making no damn sense because your party alone is against school choice. And oh, these schools have been there. No, the fuck they haven't. No, they haven't. Bullshit, man. These books have already been there. No, they haven't. Don't lie. I could tell Cory Booker, you are a WEF puppet.
But for decades, literally generations, 25, 30, 40-year-old books on shelves suddenly being taken off.
They're not 40-year-old books. Shut up.
There were books that were important to me when I was growing up.
My
parents in 1969 had to fight a court case, had to go to do legal
They did.
fights to get
The
into
Diary of
the town
Anne
I grew up
Frank.
in. It was we're the first
Disgusting.
Black family ever to move in. They had to get a white couple that poses them to buy the home to move into the community. As I grew up as my father
Thanks,
used to
bud.
call us 4 raisins in
Oh.
a tub of sweet vanilla ice cream. And
what? Well, I love your picture of your dog. What a beautiful dog that is. Looks like a Connie Corso. Could be wrong though. Your own father taught you about racism? He called you all 4 raisins in a bowl of vanilla ice cream? Who would do that? What does that even? I'm sorry. I think that's probably gives us a little hint as to how he grew up and why he's a Democrat. My goodness.
for me, finding certain books on my library shelf that not only gave me an affirmation, but a celebration.
We're going to
that
find
expanded
out.
my understanding of history. They were anchors to me, lifelines in some ways. And at a time that I was forming my self-concept and my sense of self-worth,
Oh, Big Pitbull. Cool.
these were the books that became the foundation of who I am. Some of the greatest works of American literature. And so when I see books by some of the greatest authors, I see Frederick Douglass there, being taken off the shelf, that's when I begin to worry that we're falling into this trap.
Hi, Gary.
Where we are failing to do what is necessary in a democracy, was to create public forums, educational pathways that engender empathy and understanding, that engender deep knowledge, that engender the kind of sentiment that is necessary for democratic democracies to exist. Not a culture of contempt for one another, but a deeper culture of understanding.
The issue really is the ability.
All right. Before we go on to Miss Maisie from Hawaii, how is that funding for your people going from the Biden administration, by the way? How is that going? $700 for losing everything, including family members and pets and children, you know. Well, that really much puts a drop in a bucket, huh? Anyways, I want to highlight your comment here, Sean. This stuff is there. This is exactly what they're doing. They are trying to normalize it. Did you see what the United Nations was trying to push? Thankfully, it didn't pass. Exactly that. Why is it that Scott Wiener, I know, right? Weenie, from California, a Democrat, made the law, Gavin Newsom signed it into law to lower the age of consent for sodomy? Tell me again that the New World Order isn't pushing exactly this, and I'm going to call you a liar. I can't wait to hear what this Democrat says. I hope they've learned their lesson and not to vote Democrat. But my guess is no, they're still gonna because so many people have been corrupted by money and greed that they will far overlook morality. As if, oh my gosh, I'll burn into flames if I have good morals and values. What they're pushing is absolute evil, okay? I can look past some of the things that they're doing, but this one, no, never. It'll never be okay in my eyes, and I will never allow a society to deem that normal, because it's not. There's plenty of other adults out there.
Ability of a group of people, not even parents of students in schools, but a group of people or individuals who are able to go into a school district, a school board, in an effort to ban certain books. That is really the issue. And by any definition,
You guys are
I would
awesome.
consider that kind of effort to be an effort on book banning. And in fact, there are states that have already enacted legislation that makes it pretty easy to for anybody to go in and list a book as inappropriate and therefore removed until it goes through some sort of a review process. I'm specifically talking about Florida as an example. So Professor Knox, you've done some research on why there is this effort to ban books. Can you tell me what sorts of books are usually get on these banned book lists?
Yeah, I would say that, thank you for the question. So the books that usually show up on banned books lists are books that we consider to be diverse. And these are basically books about anybody who is not white, heterosexual, male, cis, books that are about LGBTQIA people, about people of color. These sorts of books are the books that we see on the banned books list.
You sack of crap. So again, white, straight, conservatives, oh, we're the problem. We don't see ban. That's because conservatives like myself, we don't believe in pushing this type of stuff to children. And it's clear as day that people like this do. You know what? Don't pull that black card on me. Don't dare. Don't pull that race card. Oh, it's the go out and say it. It's all white people. It's white people's fault. No. I'll tell you what. The people that prey on kids, I don't give a shit what color your skin is. You are an evil, diabolical sack of human waste that is a waste of oxygen. I don't care what color your skin is, because guess what? When people like that, when there's predators, guess what? They don't care. And they come in all shapes, all sizes, all colors. Men and women both do it. And they should both all be executed. That's all I'm going to say. This bitch, man, she's got me mad as a hornet. I'll tell you what, man. Send your kids to trade school. Send your kids to a trade school, because if they go to college, they're going to be indoctrinated by people like this. Sick of this. White man is the problem. Man, shut up. That is the biggest, most lamest excuse ever. And I'm over it. My God. I do know some white males who are assholes. I'm going to admit it. Yes, I do. I'll never speak to them again, and I'm going to act like they don't exist. That's what I'm going to do. But I ain't going to blame all of y'all. Shit.
And I do want to address the idea of banning books. So really what we often say is that these books are not banned, but they are challenged. So like
they need to
Biden's
be.
border crisis, Banned Books Week has a nice alliterative ring to it. But in fact, we talk much more about challenging books. And what this is removing books from access to its intended audience. So that includes both age appropriateness, but also who did the author intend this book to be read by?
I like that.
That is an important part of thinking about what we call collection development in libraries. We consider all sorts of issues when books are put in a collection, not just issues of, do we agree with what is being put on the collection, but also how do we show many different viewpoints and ideas?
She won't say it like a true Democrat. Let me refer you to. Let me just skate around the whole issue. I'm just going to blame everything else. Society is such a problem. They're so racist. So racist. It's all about, it's anti-LGBTQIA. Oh, these white conservatives, they're the damn cause of this. Yeah, we don't want our kids reading porn. Okay? We don't want that. Okay? And neither should you. But the very fact that you are pro that tells me everything. My kid ain't coming anywhere near you. And if you come anywhere near my kid, I'll tell you what, we're going to have a fun time. It's going to end up with me wearing some brand new bracelets. Yay. Sick of this. I'm sick of this.
When we look at the diverse books,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I do understand that the target of a lot of these kinds of lists is books that depict diverse lifestyles, for example, if you want to call it that. And so, for example, one of the books that is being sought or challenged in Iowa.
Good job, Mama. Good job.
A book called
That's what we got to do.
Ko'anani Hula Warrior. This is a book about a child who doesn't see herself as a.
Oh, what? Did I just hear that correctly? Putanani Hula Warrior? Did I hear that right? I got to rewind that. I gotta rewind that. I gotta rewind that because I don't think I heard that correctly.
Of a lot of these kinds of lists is books that depict diverse lifestyles, for example, if you want to call it that. And so, for example, one of the books that is being sought or challenged in Iowa is a book called Ho'anani Hula Warrior. This is a book about a child who doesn't see herself as a girl or a boy, but something in between. And
Oh,
this child dreams of
Ho'anani.
leading the hula group, but everyone else thinks that only the boys should lead the hula group. And they
Oh, okay. So I get it. It's Huanani. I thought she said Putanani. That was my mistake. That was my brain doing that. I heard it twice though. Anyways, so you're trying to ruin the gender roles. You're trying to say that men shouldn't be men and women shouldn't be women. Women shouldn't be subservient and men shouldn't be dominant. Is that what we're doing? Are we trying to bash the gender roles here? Are we trying to like what? What are we trying to do here? Oh, that's right. Men can be men and or women and women can be men. Oh, I forgot. If somebody has lied to these people. And I feel terrible for any person out there who is confused about who they are. I went for a long time not loving myself for who I was and who I am. And let me tell you, it wasn't a good time. When I got to know myself and love myself and I'm strong in my beliefs and I know that I could be a positive influence in society again despite all that I've been through. Look, man, lying to people ain't it. Lying to people is basically putting a band-aid over a gaping wound, a bullet hole per se. That is not going to help anybody. And it's not going to help anybody else when you blur those lines and you destroy what is a society norm, what we have always known. You're taking vocabulary and mixing it up and erasing words. You're erasing history. You're erasing historical monuments as if it didn't exist. So that what? History can repeat itself. I don't understand what the common goal here is. But I'll tell you, there ain't nothing wrong with a masculine man, and there ain't nothing wrong with a feminine female. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I will embrace my femininity, but don't you dare look at me as if I'm some shrinking flower or I'm so, oh, no, 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 no. A mother bear is always ready, and I will fight every single last one of these people if I have to make sure that this smut stays away from kids. How is it so difficult? How? I don't understand this. How is it so difficult to say this is not appropriate for kids? Adults, if you want to read it, fine. By all means, go right ahead. But we got these activists in there, these teachers' unions, whom are the ones who are saying this book is okay to let the kids read when it's not. I'll never understand that. Being that, you guys, look, man, look, I'm going to be as real with you as humanly possible. What happened to me as a child, there was a process, okay? There was a grooming process. And now that I look back on my experience of what I had went through and the steps leading up to the catalyst, to the events that took place that made me no longer the same, that stole my innocence away from me, let me tell you, it was textbook. And showing kids this type of explicit material is exactly what a person like that uses. I can't believe that they can't see this. And if you say the word groomer, oh, hell. Well, I'm going to call them that. I don't give a shit. Do what you got to do. Groomers. That's what they're doing.
Native Hawaiians have traditionally recognized the existence of a third gender called Mahu, and this book explores this and many other parts of Native Hawaiian culture. Yet this book could potentially be banned, as I mentioned, from a school district in Iowa for running a
Well, then don't ban it in Hawaii then. Where the hell is Iowa even next to Hawaii? No, it isn't. So they're not going to go by your customs, just like they're not going to feed their children food from India unless they're Indian American, fine. But no. Okay, if you have 3 genders in Hawaii, how come we don't have it here? I'm just saying, because there's only 2.
fall of a law against books for younger grades
These
that deal
Democrats,
with
man.
gender identity. Mr. Janulius, do you think, and also with Dr.
Gender
Knox, do you think
identity.
this book
Oh my
should be
God.
removed from school libraries?
Yes. How about that?
Thank you, Senator. I personally do not, which goes again to the fundamental nature of our legislation, which is to allow librarians to make that decision. My guess is they would determine this book belongs in our libraries. The point I also want to make is,
Why?
especially with regard to Hula Warrior, the goal of literature is to reflect back to the reader either the struggles that the reader is facing or to provide insight into struggles that the reader has never had to imagine. Books are a safe place for people who are struggling, who need help. And I would disagree with one of the opponents here today.
I do need to get to, sorry.
Hold on a second here. So what if, just what if, those kids aren't struggling at the moment and they get a book such as, where did I throw it? Hopefully in the freaking burn pile. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Which I'm loving the fact that we're getting both Democratic and Republican views on this, because we'll be getting to the Republicans later, apparently. It's perfectly normal in big red letters. So it's perfectly normal, ages 10 and up. Okay. When a child sees this, well, it's perfectly normal that I take this off the shelves and read it. It says so right on the cover. It's marketed very well, very strategic in big red letters. And we have cartoons on here, people, kids of every race, both genders. So we have, it's perfectly normal. And in these books, I'm so afraid to even show you some of these pictures on here, but they're so graphic that if my 10-year-old came to me with this book in his hands, which I have a 5-year-old, if he ever got his hands on something like this, my first instinct is to grab it, to look at it, and say, where did you get this from? Luckily for me, I have a child that listens to me. He is not even curious as to what this is. He don't know anything about what this is. And guess what? I like to keep it that way, because when it's time, when I think he's mature enough to know, I will discuss this with him, because he can come to me for anything and he knows that. My kids trust me. And what's so sad today is we have educators out there that we are supposed to be trusting with our children. And these children, they know they can trust a teacher. Back in the day, I was taught if I needed help, run to a teacher. Anymore, that's not the case. So if you want to check out that book, you can look at it online, on Google, on Amazon, and you could see for yourself. But I highly recommend what you do as a parent, especially, you go into your school library and you look for these types of books yourself. And you monitor what your children are reading, okay? And if your child gets their hands on a book that you deem inappropriate for your child, that is your parental rights. We have these things called parental rights. And unless they're stripped away from you for some bad reason that, you know, you're probably not capable of being a parent, or I don't know, you do have rights. And I think these people have seemingly forgotten that. They think that they can rule all of us. So let's get back to this.
And I don't even need the answer from Dr. Cox, but I do have another question for you. Is there any evidence that says that exposure to certain kinds of books leads to harm to a community?
That's right.
Does exposure to an LGBTQ plus book somehow cause harm to the reader? Is there any evidence to that effect?
Yes.
No, there is not.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? Hold on. What's that? There's none? Oh, I got plenty of other ones. Here. While this is playing, I'll pull up the other statistics. I'll pull up the studies that prove that they just lied under oath. You lied. They say there's no studies that have been none. Okay. All right. Liars.
What I mentioned before is that books can be windows to learn about other people. So it might be that you have a friend who is thinking about their own gender identity and you want to know more. And reading a book like that one will help you understand what your friend is going through.
Mr. Chairman, I should think that there's more harm to a young
Okay.
person who thinks that he or she can be shot to death in a school than being exposed to certain kinds of subjects and books.
Let's take
Oh, I got
two
about 5 of
books
them. Here we
that
go.
have been much discussed.
Here's Ted. Or I mean, John.
Um,
Sorry, John.
The first one is
Pulling up all these
called
tabs now.
All Boys Aren't Blue,
I
and I will quote from it.
got all the links pulled up.
I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated. He asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself. This was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me.
My voice is I'm rendered speechless right now. I couldn't talk. You mean to tell me that we have our children reading that and you see no problem with that? But you have a problem with people taking their kids to Hooters, which I don't take my kids to Hooters, but I tell you what. Oh my God. The audacity of these people. Oh, we're not even, oh my God, we're just like 5 seconds in, man, y'all. And I'm over here going, what the fuck?
He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. Close quote. All Boys Aren't Blue. The second is another much
That was really bad.
book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me. End quote.
Wow.
Now, Mr. Secretary.
All right, hold on a second, Senator.
What are you asking us to do?
Okay, in case you think he's lying, I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on. It will fit my favorite perfectly. That's going to look so hot. So in case you're thinking that he's lying, okay, because we will have people on the left going, that's not in that book. Yes, it is. And if I had that other one, which I will not be buying, no, thank you. Will I give that author a single red cent for pushing smut onto children. No, absolutely not. As a book writer, it is your responsibility to write on there, not suitable for teens, not suitable for kids. Make sure this is adults only. You see, when I swear too much, I'm labeled as age restricted on YouTube. So you mean to tell me that these book writers have no control over that whatsoever, right? Shame on you, evil smut pushers. You're going to hell. You're definitely going to hell. You got one-way ticket. Bet. It's right here, what he just read, word for word. So I don't want to hear nobody out there going, he's lying. He's just pulling that off the internet somewhere. Nope. He actually pulled it from pages. My God, man, how sick are these people, man? They are sick. Again, I don't have any problems with people reading this. If you're an adult, again, no problems whatsoever. I don't care if you go to the library. I don't care. This is on pages 166 and 167 of the book Genderqueer. And it's written by Maya Kobabe. Maya Kobabe. It's a Stonewall honor book granted by the American Library Association. 166 and 167. That was the pages Senator John Kennedy just read from. So come at me again. See, again, though, when you present them with evidence and videos, they are in a constant state of denial. Or, like Jeffrey Marsh, deflect, because I'm a master manipulator. Let me project, deflect, manipulate. My God, man. Sheeple. So this is exactly ew. In our book, in our libraries, you guys, there's public libraries. You can just walk in, go check them out. Go make sure that your community is safe, that even if you have children or not, I don't care at this point. Go in there and make sure that none of these books are in there around kids. And if they are, ask to speak to a manager. Go on now, get Karen on them. Just don't do nothing stupid that's going to land you in jail. Okay, we don't want you to get hurt, but we do want our communities safe. And apparently, since Congress won't write a bill on it or won't pass any laws on it, then I guess it's up to us.
Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
There are pictures
No.
in all of them.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
First of all, there's this.
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, and the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's
What
point.
are you advocating for?
We are advocating for
Kids who read porn.
random parents not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the world view of every single manner on these issues.
What? We will not. So the Democrats say we will not write a law to prevent this type of thing from ending up into the hands of your child, but we make sure they can't buy alcohol, they can't buy tobacco, they cannot drive until they're 16, they can't vote till they're 18. You put an age limit on that, but you won't put an age limit on this, but then you're going to do a Jeffrey Marsh and you're going to project, deflect, project, and you're going to make a law against us parents who bring this up in school board meetings. Oh yeah, you're the party that is all for the FBI kicking down our doors because we went to a school board meeting and let them have it for letting our children read books like this ain't a book. That's garbage. It's absolute garbage. And no. I am so infuriated right now that these people think that not only do they know better, about our children that they literally think that we have both. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, but you think that the government deserves more control over us? Are you kidding me? Not only do we have a right for free speech, that's our First Amendment of the Constitution, but we also have a right to protect our children. And how dare they? Oh my. Not today, Satan. That ain't happening. Ooh, this mother. Let me tell you something. Illinois says it all. You bunch of dumbasses.
Getting conceptual game.
I'm
What-
not getting conceptual.
Well,
I'm saying
yes,
that
you are. Yes, you
Well,
are.
let's do that one again because he blames the parents. He says, well, this is the parents. We got to have a law saying that the parents can't call us out for pushing smut onto their kids. They're bad. That's what that. Well, I hope Ted. I hope I keep calling him Ted Kennedy. Oh my God. I hope John Kennedy rips this dude a new one.
well,
Oh,
first of all, there's this,
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
with all due respect, Senator,
I thought I heard
the
asshole.
words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's
What
point.
are you advocating for?
We are advocating for parents, random parents, not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the world view of every single manner on these issues.
You're getting conceptual game.
I'm
What-
not getting conceptual.
Well,
I'm saying
yes,
that
you are. Yes, you are. Because I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what some of you are saying, the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries? I think it becomes a slippery
Well, I
slope.
think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about,
If
Senator.
you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what you're
Senator-
asking us to do.
Senator-
Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix, is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not
Library,
asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts. Do you
genderqueer.
think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of
I
collaboration.
don't know what you're sending
between
me,
students,
bud.
Parents
and
have a say.
educators. Parents should be working with students and educators to be
Okay.
making decisions because
All right. Hold on. I'm gonna rewind from Pee Wee Herman here for a second. Pee Wee Herman is getting interrogated right now. I'm guessing you don't have kids. And for your constituent to say random parents using this as a guise, protect kids, leave kids alone. How clear do we have to be? Don't show our kids this type of shit. How clear do we have to be? How much clearer? So you want to say that the library has a say so. You're funded by our tax dollars. So you're saying that we work for you and you don't work for us? I think you've seemingly forgotten. Well, how's that working for you? I think that we need to not only defund and destroy and dismantle the teachers' unions. I also think the public libraries, if you are all for this, goodbye, get out. Go on. There's an adult bookstore somewhere you can peddle that shit too, but we don't want our kids seeing it. As a random parent myself, yeah, I am a parent. You forget that word, that root word there, parent. We're not going anywhere. My feet are firmly cemented. I'm not going anywhere. I'm taking a stand. I can't believe the audacity of these people, literally. Are you kidding me? and you just so happen to be neoliberal. Again, have your own ideologies, have your own ideas, your own opinions, yada, yada, yada. Do not push it on to anybody else. And then you got the audacity to call out Christians and how they push religion. What the hell do you think you're doing? The same damn thing. My God, man, these people have seriously lost their brains. Where'd they go? Because I'm over here. I don't know how much clearer we have to be. Leave our kids alone. We go away. That's it. Nobody wants you dead. Nobody's burning down your house. Since your neoliberal friends do that, though, you terrorize cities and you burn shit down and you terrorize people. And we're done with it. We're done. Because patriots, conservatives, people with good, strong morals and values, they don't think like you, and that's okay. They're allowed to have their own opinions. But we will not sit here on this issue. I'm sorry. You're not getting nowhere. It's like like my Rottweiler chasing her nub, her tail. She'll never catch it. It's never going to happen. I'll never allow it to happen over my dead fucking body. How about that?
Tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Wait. Oh, no, wait a minute. I identify as Nix. But your driver's license says this, but that's what I identify as. Well, I identify as a pissed off parent. Get used to this face, okay? I got to rewind that. Because that was funny. It's the same thing when I see some asshat on Twitter coming at me saying some off the wall bullshit, and then I scope out your profile and it's got pronouns in it. I'm over here going, well, that explains a lot. I identify as fed the fuck up. That's my pronouns. Fed up. There it
is. Cameron, tell me.
I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about
if you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what you're asking us to do. So, Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Genderqueer.
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between students.
Should parents have a say?
Parents should be working with students and educators to be making decisions, because students are.
And who decides ultimately? The librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
Book review committees in the community in my school district.
Oh, that's it. So whoever is in Texas, the book committees are the ones that agree on which books your children get to read. And by the time those book committees get them into your schools and you catch wind of it, guess what? The FBI is coming for you. That's right. You, because how dare you go to a public school board meeting and bring it up? How dare you? You're labeled, guess what? A fucking domestic terrorist. That's what you're labeled as. Let me tell you something. There ain't no mountain I wouldn't move for my children. Okay? I would stand in front of a person firing off a bazooka if it meant to protect my offspring. Know that, motherfucker. And you think with your mousy having ass that you're any match for somebody like me? Are you sure about that? Are you sure? You lucky you ain't in Ohio, homie, because we would have done spit you out and chewed you up, man. Come on over to Cleveland and see what happens with that bullshit. Texas, really? Really? My God, man. He's got to be imported, man, because Texas don't breed people like this.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you, how do we decide whether the two books that I just referenced
Yes, they
should
did.
be available in the library? What would you, if you were running things, what would you do?
All Boys Aren't Blue, the scene you mentioned, is about sexual abuse.
I know what it's about.
It's not
What would
erotic.
you do in terms of making the books available? Would you say anybody can see them, or they have to be in a special session?
Students who do not read books like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is
I
appropriate.
understand that.
They cannot learn.
I understand, but none of
Wow. So if you weren't abused, here you go. Here's what it is. You want everything that your parents have been protecting you from since the day that you were born. Here you go. Here's what it's like. Doesn't seem that bad at all, does it? Groomer. That's exactly what they're doing. And I'm not going to sit here. Shut up right now, or I will rain hell on you. I'm just playing. No, I won't. I'll probably just give you a biscuit and call it a day because you're good dogs. How dare these scumbags think that it's okay to show kids that? And what about the kids that were abused? What about the people who were abused? Are you going to let them? Then they're in a safe zone. Schools are supposed to be labeled as a safe zone for kids. God forbid I got a foster kid who I just rescued from an abomination and from all kinds of traumatic crap, that the abuse, a human trafficking survivor. What if what you're saying is I can't trust your school, is what you're saying, to protect them? Because if the kids were abused, which there are far too many, you're telling me that you're going to let them see this and say, oh, it's not erotic. It's just sexual abuse. Don't worry about it, kids. Don't worry about it. You're grooming. You are grooming them. And there ain't nothing a motherfucker can say that's going to make me change my mind. I've been through it. I know what grooming looks like. This is why I'm the mortal enemy of people like this. Study this face, because I hope I haunt your nightmares, because I'm going to expose every one of you come hell or high water. I'm done. I am so fed up with people like this. How dare you? How dare you, because of your sick, twisted fantasies, put that off on kids, you sick, twisted individuals. My God, man. This is the face of NAMBLA. That's it. That's the new president. NAMBLA. NAMBLA.
You want to answer my question. You come here and you say censorship is bad. And of course it's bad. But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye. So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard.
Hold on, let's back that up again.
Like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is appropriate.
I understand that.
They cannot learn.
I understand, but none of you want to answer my question. You come here and you say,
fuck, man,
censorship is bad. And of course it's bad. But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about.
Callie, come on now.
Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye. So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard is the librarians. And parents have nothing to do with it. And if that's your response, what planet did you just parachute in from?
Parents, Senator.
Or what country, more appropriately? This is not China.
Parents, Senator, with all due respect, parents absolutely have a say. My parents were immigrants, came to this country. We never checked out books without our parents seeing what books we were reading. They encouraged us to read
Mr.
books.
Secretary, I understand this is good for your politics back home.
It's got nothing to do with my politics. My bill is passed.
Of course it does.
My
It
bill is
has
passed.
everything to do with your politics.
I'm here to.
But you came here with a problem, and I'm trying to understand the solution, and you don't have one.
We solved the solution.
Other than to tell us that we don't agree with you, you're on the wrong. We'll be on the wrong side of history.
We solved the problem in Illinois. We fixed it because we.
Well, there are others you could work on.
Well, that's why I'm
out
here
of
to help.
time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To help other states make these decisions.
F you.
LGBTQ groups are raising red flags after President
Oh God, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. No, no. So in Illinois, they've already taken care of it. You have no say so what your children read. I would move out of that state immediately in any other state that is pro pushing this type of crap onto our children. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, we've already eradicated the problem, sir. Yeah. We're absolutely going to terrorize these parents and call them domestic terrorists. That's what we're going to do. And we're hoping that other states follow suit. Not while I walk this earth, pal. Not today, Satan. It's not happening. So you see that. You see what we're up against. We're up against Democrats. And again, please don't make it political, Jen. It is. Like it or not, it is. We got the Republicans who are pro protecting our children, and we got the Democrats willing to hand them to the wolves. Are you kidding me? What happened to the Democratic Party? What happened? What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. They were bought off by the Chinese Communist Party. That's what happened. Total control, even over the children. Children are innocent. Children are the picture of what innocence is. And for any adult to want to take advantage of them or warp their minds in any way whatsoever, Guantanamo Bay needs to be reopened. And I like Ron DeSantis. Okay, one thing about Ron DeSantis that stuck out to me, and I wanted to give him a Medal of Honor for it. He signed a bill into law saying that if you molest a child, you die. If we find you guilty beyond all reasonable doubt, you are a goner. And that needs to be federal law. That needs to be in all 50 states. Go over to the Middle East and steal something and see what happens. You see, if America, especially in California, I'm sure small business owners out there will appreciate this. In the Middle East, they used to have a thing called, I don't know if it's still there or not, because I'm not from the Middle East, nor have I ever been there. It used to be called Chop Chop Square. And when you're caught stealing, they chop your freaking hand off. Bet you don't do that again. If you do, well. You ain't got no hands. The soft on crime. This is all a part of a plan. Let's decriminalize drugs. Let's go ahead and celebrate the criminals when they're burning down our country and causing all kinds of chaos and anarchy. Let's destroy America from within its own borders. That's a quote by the Chinese Communist Party. This is a part of their plan. And our corruptor in chief that we have in the White House sold us out long ago. And it was way before Joe Biden, by the way. It started with a one Barack Hussein Obama teaching our children Common Core. What about the students, a parent like myself that has a gifted student that it needs to be challenged or he gets very bored? The Common Core shit ain't working for him. What happened to the days of the teachers during their summer vacations? They're writing out their curriculums for the year. What happened to that? The destruction of the teachers' union. Education today is used to indoctrinate our kids, and there is nothing that any one of you could tell me that will make me think otherwise. Again, please be proactive, okay? Because ignoring the problem is putting fuel on the fire. If your school is pushing this type of stuff to your kids, you need to know about it. It's your duty as a parent to protect your young with every fiber of your being. Hey, man, if that labels me as a domestic terrorist, I guess I'll wear that shit proudly, like a badge of honor. But I ain't going to sit here idle. I can't wait for my next school board meeting. I'm showing up a whole hour early just to ensure I get to speak. My 3 minutes is going to be monumental. And for these people who claim there ain't nothing wrong with this, there's no studies. There's a plethora of them. Again, I will be including every one of these studies in the description of this video when I'm all done. Here's one. Here's one right here. This is the National Library of Medicine, by the way. This is NIH.gov. Exposure to explicit media in early adolescence is related to risky behavior in emerging adulthood. This is just one study. Okay, the study is aimed to improve upon previous studies by using instrumental variable estimation. In addition, the study also included multimodality of explicit media and 3 risky sexual behavior measures from a sample of Taiwanese adolescents. So here is a study. When they say there's none, they're full of it. So I'll include that one. Then here's another one. This is Sage Journals. Sage Journals. The impact this has on adolescents and teenagers. Okay. They say there's no studies, though. They say there's no studies. Well, what the hell is all this? What is this? So in normal behavior, you know, when we talk to our kids, when they are mature enough to understand, we teach our children, you know, we in a way that is not explicit or damaging in any way, because as parents, we can gauge that because we know our children. Sex between a husband and a wife is caring. They do that when they love each other. Well, when they are watching stuff like this, it's dominating or using somebody. It's mutual intimacy with a partner. When they see this, it's doing sex is screwing someone. Apparently, there's a lot of people what these kids have talked about. It's a natural drive that humans have. It's a compulsive act when they're shown these type of things. It's personal intimacy. It's a public commodity when shown this. Okay. Pay attention to this side of the screen. This is normal, healthy, normal. They're trying to normalize the unhealthy, and that's the problem that I have here. It's an emotional connection, i.e. making love. This is what loving partners do. It's physical enjoyment. It's just, I'll do it with whoever I want to. It's lasting satisfaction. It's an impulse gratification. So there's that. Here's another that I have for you guys. I think there's a bunch of them. I think 5. You can Google this, but I have this one here by Science Direct. This is a review. This is exactly the studies that they're talking about don't exist. And also we have the NIH, National Library of Medicine. We also have the one that I just talked about. This is from Sage Journals. And we also have the Institution of Family Studies. And there's a plethora more of these studies that are done that they claim there are none. Again, they say there are none. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, in this world are victims. They've been victimized. They know what their experience was. Because when a child experiences something as traumatic as that, their innocence being stolen away from them, they remember everything. Shit, you guys. There's some things that I have locked away in my memory bank, and a smell or something that I see on TV or on a video will trigger a memory of mine that I've locked away deep in my memory bank. These people literally claim that this is not damaging. But I'm going to tell you what. When that happened to me as a little girl, I was obsessively drawing the male organ. I was drawing dick pics when I was a little girl at 5 years old. And then my brother actually had a health book that they gave to him in the 7th grade during health class. He brought it home and it was called Am I Normal? Okay. And it was carefully written, right? It wasn't sexually explicit. It was about male puberty. And it was a basic, there was a couple of illustrations in there, but it was talking about what the body goes through during puberty. Okay. It wasn't anything remotely close to what this stuff is. And so I got my hands on that book. I did. I got my hands on that book. My brother was 12 and I was 8. And I found a picture and it triggered me. Right after that is when I got to explain what had happened to me and divulge what all had happened to me. This type of thing is life lasting. It has life lasting, damaging, emotional, and physiological effects on a child. It's so crazy to me that they would want to expose kids to this. And I know why, because they're trying to normalize it. They're trying to say, hey, you're safe in your public library. You're safe in your school. You could read this here. Don't tell your parents, though, because your parents, if they say something, we're going to label them as domestic terrorists. We're going to call the police on them, and we'll definitely cut their mics when they're in the school board meetings if they just so happen to read an excerpt from my book that you checked out at your school. Again, I'm going to tell parents this. Be proactive. Show up, because Rocky told me that you have to be a parent, an educator, or a student to access the school library. The library's library, right? The content of their school libraries. You have to be either student, teacher, or parent. Nobody else. And seeing as Rocky is not a parent, but he's one of our greatest allies in this fight, I think it's our job, our duty as parents to knock down their door and say, look, get this out of our schools. And if you don't, guess what? We're homeschooling. And when we take our children out of schools, it forces the federal government to stop funding this. By registering your kids for schools, especially if this is going on, you are feeding into this, whether you want to be or not. So I think it's time, because our schools ain't letting up. They keep passing laws and the laws pass and then they keep pushing back. Then fine, we'll cut the head off the snake and we're going to cripple your teachers' union by taking our kids out. It's the only way. It's the only way. You show up to the school board meetings and you take your kids out of the schools. Because if they're not willing to bend, and if they're saying, no, we're going to keep this in here, then it's your duty as a parent to protect your child by any means necessary. All right, guys, that does it for me today. I thank you so much. Grandparents, yes. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, caretakers, parental figures. Stand up for your children. Protect them at all costs. They are our future. We have to protect the minds, the bodies, and the souls of our children. Because if we don't, imagine 15, 20 years from now, what are they going to be running around as? All right, guys, I love y'all. Thank you again. Yeah, it'll take about 6 months. And the public schools would close down because you choke off that funding. All right, guys. I'll put every article in the description of this video. I have them all ready to go. If you want to look for yourself, you can. It's a lot of studies. They claim that no studies exist. You can take these, save them, email them to yourself, do whatever you want to do with them, and show up at your school board meetings when they say that there's no studies done that this is harmful to kids. I got your back. All right. I love you all. Thank you again. Make sure you are subscribed. If you're not, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're following me on Rumble. If you guys want, if you guys can, this is not necessary, but it's important for me to keep this content and this channel going. And all of my links are down in the description. Any and all help is greatly appreciated. All right, guys. Love you all. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.